Coming to you live from the San Francisco Bay Area. It's time for Zig in the Zone with Ralph Zig Tycho.
Hey guys, my name is Paul Brumbaugh, and I'm here live in studio in San Francisco because, well, we do things differently all the time. Welcome to Zig in the Zone, and joining me remotely should be Ralph Zig Tycho. What's happening, buddy?
Hey, I am a remote kind of guy. The Wandering Jew is in Alameda today, and I am so excited because I have a friend who's with us, Paulie, and he's one of the most interesting guys I know. He's a former professional basketball player with the New York Knicks and a St. Bonaventure alum, along with his brother, Tom Stith, the late Tom Stith, made that program. And we've had many conversations. We've done podcasts together, Sam, but more importantly to me were the podcast, the conversations we've had off the air. And I've really gotten to know you and you me, and you accept me for what I am, which is important. And I have nothing to have to accept. You are an icon in the New York City basketball world, and all city basketball in high school, pretty darn good. St. Francis, am I correct, Sam?
Yes, the prep, yep.
And we'll say it the whole way. You almost didn't even see it. So joining us today is Sam Stith. There we go. That's what I was waiting for. So yeah, so the prep, huh? Is that where you guys kind of
St. Francis Prep, Sam?
Yeah, Brooklyn, School of Champions, one of the highest rated schools in the country, always educational.
Right. You know, we're going to get to you and your project that you completed. Basically was a documentary that was so well received. I can't tell you. How do you feel doing that? It's cathartic. Am I correct?
I had no idea how I did it, Ralph. During the COVID, I started writing my history. Everybody, why don't you write a book? Why don't you write? So I started putting down stuff, and next thing I know, I had a lot of pages, So what happened is I got together and I called a school of journalism at St. Bonnie's, and I made a deal with a student that if he put it together for me, you follow me, I'll either pay him or give him credit. So he put the whole thing together, and then I found a publisher, who did a nice job. Book covers, beautiful, everything. You follow me? Publishers then. And so there where it stands.
Did you give him a plug, he or she?
Huh?
Did you give them a plug?
Oh yeah, book publishers den. They're in California.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, they're nice. Nice, fantastic people. They did a nice job on the book. And they put everything together.
Beautiful.
Ship is being allocated and put on Amazon. It's doing well, by the way. It's doing well.
Can't tell you how proud of you I am, because I followed the book and the documentary until its completion, and I know the effort it took, and I know how wonderful it is to get the truth about what happened at St. Bonaventure and what have you. But let's start with Tom, the late Tom
Oh,
Stith,
wow.
your
Superstar.
brother.
Superstar.
If you could tell me what it was like being his big brother.
We came out of Virginia, all right? I'm 10 and Tom is 8. We never saw basketball, right? We didn't know what it was until we got to New York, to Harlem, and all these guys was playing this game of basketball. So in my school, they asked me and Tom, not asked, told us to come to the gym. They're going to teach us how to play basketball. And we went up to the gym, learning what it's supposed to be like, boom, boom, boom. Kept at it. Mm-hmm. And then the most famous team in Harlem, called the Lucky Sevens, was two groups, Lucky Seven seniors, Lucky Seven juniors. So they put us on the juniors, and that's when we really defined our game, right? So, as a matter of fact, it came to the point that we used to beat the seniors in the scrimmage, and they moved us up to the varsity. We didn't like that, but we couldn't, back then we respected elders, so we didn't say anything. And after that, we started booming, getting our game together in the junior high school, playing good, beating everybody, never lost. And then the prep came knocking on our door. We had us play a scrimmage game.
When did you know you guys were going to be destined to do this for a living, be professionals, be great, or just do what you do? At what age did you start the dream of all of it?
Well, first of all, I'm a lifetime New York Knickerbocker fan with Carl Braun and those guys, right? And I want to be a basketball player,
right.
But that wasn't our motive. What happened was they asked us to come and play their varsity in Brooklyn, city champions, beautiful. We're walking to this gorgeous gym in Brooklyn, and they wanted to play a regular game with a referee, and we beat them by 14 points. But most important, we physically beat them, right? And ironic enough, they had a ball player on that squad named Joe Quigg. It's an interesting story, right? Joe Quigg, right? All-American at St. Francis. By the way, they didn't need us. They were good enough without us. And what happened was he went to North Carolina, and last night I'm watching a game between North Carolina and Kansas in the NCAA in 1957, right? In that game, it was back and forth, double overtime. And at the end of the game, they're down by 1, Kansas, and they threw the ball into Wilt, and Joe Quigg stole the ball to win the game. I just saw it last night. So we went to the prep.
That was when Lenny Rosenbluth played for that team.
Hell of a ball player. Lenny Rosenbluth, Tommy Kearns. But so we got offer scholarships, to come to the school. The good and the bad. So we were going to Commerce. We were going to Commerce because one of my heroes is there named Kyle Ramsey. And we wanted to go join Kyle. So we ended up going to the prep, which is a good thing, bad thing at the time. They automatically put me on the varsity. Back in the day, don't forget the freshmen, sophomores, juniors, seniors. And they put me right up to the varsity. And Tom on the freshman team, because I was ahead of him, And when the season started, when I went in the dressing room, they welcomed me because of what the beating we put on them, to get there. So I just said, they couldn't take a joke, so I went and sat in the corner. And practically tried to do a number on me. That didn't work. And so when the season started, I was 10th man on the bench. I didn't get into garbage time, right? Which disappointed me, but they were winning. It's a good team. Tom was on the freshman team, Ralph, and we're the first African-American to play at high school and in the league. And Tom was killing them. So the league got together and said, no, he can't play freshman. And they moved him up to the varsity, skipped over JV to the varsity, and he became the 10th man. I became the 11th man. And we only got in during garbage time. We didn't play at all until garbage time. Here's the kicker. Nobody left the gym until we got in because it was showtime. So he was getting with 3 minutes ago, and I get in with 2 minutes ago, and I'm talking about nobody left the gym until we got it, and we showed up. we showed up. it got so bad that during the games, the students was yelling, "Put them brothers in," right? And this is upsetting the team, right? Put those brothers in, right? And it happened the whole year. We lost the whole year. Well, what saved me, other Tim, who got us a scholarship there, is the principal. I saw him in the hallway, and he said something to me. He says, "Be patient. You'll have your chance." And that hit me like a ton of bricks, and it changed my whole attitude. And the Daily News had an article that if these guys on a team, next year they go undefeated. Everybody graduated, so there was Tom and I. We were 31-0. City championships against Lou County second with St. Anne's. Nationals against Lou again in Washington. And then it started. Boom, boom. All-American, undefeated, championships both times. Not a problem. In the meantime, we were still playing with the Lucky Sevens at night. So we were going both ways. And a lot of guys, and they don't know how you're going to turn out, but it's unconditional. And so many people helped us, along the way. And well, I jump over to the tragedies. We had tragedies, so a lot of people don't understand how we survived. In Virginia, my father was killed, right? And I was 2 and Tom was 1, and my sister was young too, and he got killed, right? Which left us with my mother with 4 kids and a grandmother, and we survived that. And my mother says she got scared of living in Virginia. She said, "My sister's in New York. I'm going to New York." She got me a job. So that's how we ended up in Harlem. She moved to Harlem, then we came up with her. And then, ironically, unfortunately, she died 2 years after that, at age 36. And they wanted to put us in a foster home. And my sister said, no, we'll handle it. Still to this day, I don't know how to handle it. And but our aspirations was not to, we wanted to get an education. So basketball was secondary. And NBA was out of the question. The reason for that, because they weren't taking African Americans at the time. So that sort of began it, but we worked hard. Tom was gifted. My brother was a gifted ball player. I enjoyed from grammar school to college to playing with this guy. And I watch some of the film now, and I rewind and say, how did he do that? And I just got his medal. He finally got inducted into the College Basketball Hall of Fame. And I got the medal that was sent to me. But he was a superstar. He gets to 35, 40 points without even looking. Boom, boom, quick, period. And everybody say he looked lazy.
And that's coming from you. You're not being telling it like it is, in the sense that you were terrific as well.
Yeah. I did my thing. I fed off him. I did my thing.
But you could tell you're proud of your brother, Sam.
Oh my goodness!
You knew. So was there always that competitiveness between you two, even growing up as kids?
We were like.
I don't think they were competitive.
You weren't competitive.
No.
So did you lift each other up? Did you motivate each other? How did that work?
We just played the game.
We just played the game. So did you enjoy playing your brother when you weren't in college? When you were just on the in the yard as a kid?
Oh, by the way, I played 1-on-1 against him. All right.
Right.
In the park. Right. I beat him.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. I beat him. And we laughed at it because he's left-handed. See, left-handed ball players got an advantage, by the way, over right-handed guy. So I used to trick him. We were kids then. I used to trick him. You follow me?
Right.
And not all the time, but I would trick him, and then I became a jump shooter. Right.
Right.
But we laughed at it. Right. But I knew his moves. And this is we're young now.
I've told you this a lot of times, Sam. You should have been an NBA coach.
That was my aspiration, but I did coach AAU out here with kids. I taught them how to play. We were undefeated for 2 years.
Yeah.
But what happened was we were playing in Cleveland against George Steinbrenner's pro team. Okay, he had a pro team, and we're in college, and we're playing. And sometime Tom gets this idea he could bring the ball up. Okay, So we're up by one. No, we're up by two. And he decided to bring the ball up, which shook me up. I said, oh, he's not supposed to be. And the guy stole it from him and laid it up to tie the game, okay? Walking back to walking back to the bench, he apologized to me. He called me Cezanne, right? Sorry, Cez. I said, no. We get to the huddle and the coach blamed me. I come out and foul the guy, right? By the way, the guy was bigger than Jim Brown. So now, we're going overtime, and it's 10 seconds to go in the game. I called timeout, and nobody said a word because we know what was going to happen. Got the ball. I used to throw him hard passes, that he could. Somebody couldn't handle what he did. He got it, turned for a jump shot. At the buzzer, he was walking off the court when it went in. That was his 65th point. He got 65 points in that game. And I always tell a story that we hold the record for most points in the D1. 73, he had 65, and I had 8. But I had 22 assists. But no, we knew each other's moves. I knew where he would. I give him the ball in the right position, and he's a hell of a defensive player. He's all around. Or in high school, he was All-American 2 years in a row, and I did all right. I was All-American too, all right. But we're the first ones to be in the New York Post.
As a person as well, that how you related to your brother is indicative of your character. And what a thrill. Hey, you mentioned Carl Braun. I was in the Garden, Madison Square Garden, for his first game as a coach.
Oh.
And I saw him in the lobby. I was a kid. And I started to talk to him, and he blew me right off. But he was a little predisposed right before the game. And if you liked him, I liked him because there were
I didn't know him. I just
Willie Knowles,
liked the team.
Kenny Sears, Carl Braun, and Richie Guerin, along with Charlie Tyree or whoever it was today. That was the team that I grew up watching. And when the Knicks drafted your brother, before he contracted tuberculosis, we were so excited as a fan base that something was going to make the difference between mediocrity and greatness. And we looked upon Tom as our savior at that time. Tell me what happened with the tuberculosis and his comeback from that and what have you.
They just had first of all, I played with Richard Guerin and Willie Knowles when I was with the Knicks. Right? Richard Guerin is a guy you go in a foxhole with. You know that terminology. Right. Tom, they were NCAA in the Wake Forest where they got screwed. They had a tough time in Maryland in Wake Forest because they wouldn't allow them to eat in certain restaurants, right? The team, because they had 4 black guys, right? So they almost won, but the referee was doing stuff. Everybody was so obvious what he was doing. They lost by 8 points. And all of a sudden, when he got back to the campus, he had lost a lot of weight, right? He was skinny anyway. He was never heavy. He lost a lot of weight. And they checked him out and found out he had tuberculosis, as well as his roommate, Fred Crawford. They both had tuberculosis. They were roommates, right? And they went to a sanitarium. Like back then, my wife's father died of tuberculosis. It wasn't a big cure for it, so they put him in a sanitarium. They said, you may not leave here. You follow me? But what happened was, let me jump back. Remember this big scandal in 1951? All those scandals and stuff that went down, guys shaving points. Right. My sister made it clear, no matter how bad we are, don't do that. And she made it crystal. Don't do, because I knew those guys. Ed Warner, those guys, Floyd Lane, I knew them in the neighborhood, right? Whatever you do, we need it, but don't even think about it. So here's what happened was, I get a call from Eddie Donovan. By the way, Tom has tuberculosis. I said, oh, wow. I called my sister, and I said, got some bad news. She said, Tom has tuberculosis. And she sat down, and you know what came out of her mouth? No. I said, I got some bad news. She sat down. She said, oh, Lord, don't tell me that he was shaving points. I said, no, he has tuberculosis, which really shook her up. But the first thing when I said I got bad news, first thing I gave my, oh, my God. But they forgot how they brought us up. We relied on them, to take care of us. So he went to a sanitarium. He had a good bad week. He got drafted number 1 by the New York Knicks, second in the country draft. Jerry Lucas was number 1. He got married the same week. He signed for $36,000. That's 1962. He signed 1961. He signed for $36,000, $18,000 a year, guaranteed for 2 years. Knicks didn't have to pay. Knicks paid all his expenses. Think about it, paid all his expenses. But then he finally came out of the sanatorium, and he got married, and his wife was from Olean, the town we played in. I go up there, she's feeding him sweet potatoes, collard greens, potato salad, all that. And he gained all that weight. He put a lot of weight on. So then I went with the Knicks. When he's ready to come to New York, he moved to New York with his wife. And every single day at Christ the King Seminary, we worked out to get him back in shape. Every day except Sundays. Worked to him, get him back in shape. He got in shape and went to camp, and then that's a different story all the way, But he was. By the way, that would depress a lot of people with that disease. Let me jump to Fred Crawford. They both had it. Fred ended up playing in the NBA for 7 years after having tuberculosis, and some miracles happen when you have certain. We were lucky. We always talk about this, and you can understand it, Ralph, because you worked in Harlem. Follow me? That we were so happy that we grew up in Harlem. That made us tough. New York, no. Harlem. They made us resilient and tough. We used to get robbed, gangs and stuff like that. But it made us see the real world, which made it easy for us when we got into the real world. By, growing up in Harlem and taking a hit.
Can I ask you something, Sam? How much did your formative years before Harlem really shape you? Because my understanding is that you and your brother had never even seen a basketball, let alone put your hands on one until you got to Harlem, because you had grown up on your grandmother's farm in Virginia, right? With your sisters and your grandma and your mom.
Good point. Our only sport in Virginia, we had the freight trains go by. We throw rocks at it, right? We made a mistake one time. This is during the war, by the way.
Right.
A train came by, and they were shooting at us. So we never played rock. We never saw basketball until we were 10, and he was 8. And I'm 10, and at 14, we got scholarship to high school.
And that was because of, and was that because of the Lucky 7 juniors that kind of got you?
Yeah. Because the coach there, John Lewis, we kept. You gotta understand something. We also had a Harlem Globetrotter in the block who was playing with the Globetrotter, Herman Taylor, who's in the nursing home now. We used to go to the park. We got a lot of days off in the Catholic school, and Herman be there working out, and me and Tom, we go over there with him. I want to be a Globetrotter. That's my first love, was to become a Harlem Globetrotter. So he'll work us out, right? He had no idea what we'll become. Now, years go by, right? Years go by. And I think about 25 years went by. I saw him at an event. And I said, something, Herman? Thank you.
Right. And I'm sorry. It looks like we lost Ralph for a second. But that's okay. We'll get him back in a second. That's a good sign. So we are here. We are talking.
You back, Ralph?
yet. So, let's wait for it to bring through again. So, like you said, you guys actually hadn't seen a basketball touch one until you were 10 years old.
Yeah, and 4 years scholarships, and then after that, college scholarships. I got a lot of static, Paul.
Oh, I know why, because I didn't have my mic all the way up.
Okay.
So you were saying that, and that all started because of your junior high school. You were at Frederick Douglass, right?
Yeah, yep, yeah. We played on that team, beat everybody, and we kept learning, never taking for granted. And we're playing against Harlem guys, man. I'm talking about they busted us up, right? And we were finesse players, but we knew when to hit somebody, right? But we kept learning and learning and learning. The high school coach we had, Chick Keegan, championship, big time coach. He never talked to me the whole time I was playing there.
Really?
The conversation, not that he was still mad about how we beat them, but I never had a conversation with him. Okay.
Right.
And what happened when I was figuring out what college to go to, most coaches come to you and say, "What's your plan?" Never after the season, I never said. But during the season, he was a quiet guy anyway. You follow me? But never had a conversation with me like, how you doing? How's your family? But like in junior high school, the teachers over there, they were like family. And here's the catch of that: in that school, 80% of the teachers was Jewish. 80% of the teachers was Jewish, and they had a lot of respect for us. Feldman, the principal, but they treat us like human beings, right? But I never had a conversation with Coach Keegan. Sit down, and said, how you doing in school? Boom, 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 boom. No, just play the game, go home.
And that's kind of funny because even like when you and your brother were like freshmen, sophomores, or earlier, you were beating the seniors at some point.
Oh yeah. That's what happened. We played the game against them, a scrimmage game, and I didn't know what a scrimmage was, by the way.
Right.
We're gonna go, and next thing you know, the referee was Richie Powers, who ref the NBA for 30 years. But they had a clock, referees, uniforms on. We had raggedy clothes,
Yeah, I mean, go back 2 years, and you were playing in the cotton fields with your sisters and stuff, and so it's a little bit different. It's a whole different world.
We beat them. We beat them, and not just. I mean, I go one step further. There was a guy on that team who I ended up playing with. He was the one guy left, right? He never talked to me or nothing, right? So now that same year, we went to the semifinals, right?
Right.
And Tom got hurt. They finally put Tom in, and he got hurt in the eye and couldn't play. We lost, right? But that guy on the team was named Gus Alfieri. I don't think he was racist. The teachers didn't even like this guy, but he could play, really well. So then all those guys left. Now, 35 years later, Paul, listen to this.
Okay.
My brother called me. Gus coached a team out in St. Anthony's in Long Island.
Okay.
Right? And successful coach. Never had a black ball player on his team the whole time. Right? My stepson went there. He had the same teachers I had at St. Francis Prep. Right? So he never, but what happened was, Tom says, Sam, I want to get my grandson into Gus's camp. So be nice. He wants to call you, so be nice to him. But he says, Sam, let me tell you what happened. When I met with him, he says to me, and he started crying. He has no idea how we beat them when we scrimmaged them to that day. Here's ironic part. 4 years ago, I was inducted into the New York City Hall of Fame.
Right.
Along with him. He went at the same time. Heck of a coach. They couldn't wait for him to lose so they could fire him. But he wrote a lot of books. But I don't want to, you're talking Catholicism. I didn't think that I'd be treated that way. Well, let me tell you a story about that.
Please do, because we know we live in this world today that it goes any which way.
Yeah. So, is Ralph on yet? He's not back on yet?
Yes, Ralph, are you here with us?
I am. I am reconnected.
Yeah. So what happened was, I did not know that we were going to be the first Negroes to play on the team. I did not know that. No one said that, right?
Okay.
And when I got there, the week before, Brother Tim told us, he said, by the way, you guys are going to be the first to play not only in high school, but in the league. I'm like this, all right. So we got, don't forget, the Jewish people taught us, all my classes was, fantastic learning. And I got to campus, I got outside, it's none but white. Then I saw one Negro, and I told Tom, I said, he didn't say that we might be the only ones in the whole school, right? It's a private school, you pay money.
Right.
So a guy about 6'6" called me over, and he says to me, he says, you guys from Harlem? Now, I was a little wise guy. My grandmother says, don't be a wise guy when you get there, right? And I said to him, well, how we got here, we took the A train down to 14th Street, went upstairs and took the Canarsie line to Driggs and walked over. He goes, no. What school you go to? Well, we went to Public School 5, 139. Why'd you get from there to here? I said, well, we took the A train down to 14th Street, went upstairs to the Canarsie line and walked to Driggs Avenue. He looked at me like I'm an idiot, right? And I told Tom, I think we ought to go back on the train and go home. This may not work. The good news, when I got in class, I was the only one in the whole class. And Tom, same thing, right? We were treated nice by the students. I mean, really, friendship type thing.
Right.
Teachers. But in the dressing room, no comments, no welcome to the team. We're going to do all right. Boom, not a word. So I said, I'm no Jackie Robinson, but damn, this is not good. And that went on for the whole year. So it wasn't just, even the center on the team, right?
Right.
Big guy. He tell the coach, why don't you put Tom in, Of course, don't forget, in practice, it was showtime again in practice. But they kept, why don't you put him in? But it was strange, but I never had a conversation with the coach. And no one asked me what college I was going to either. What's on your mind for going to college? Want to go to St. Francis College in Brooklyn, but they didn't have a campus. And we want to get out of Harlem because it's a hold on our sisters, right? For trying to make a living. And as soon as my mother died, then that was a sad thing because my mother was such a caring lady to her siblings, her sisters and her brothers. I mean, she looked after them, like, 6 of them. And when she died, they all disappeared.
You're talking about your mother when she passed?
When she passed, none of her family came over to help us. They knew we didn't have anything. Went on welfare.
Your mom was a really hardworking woman. I mean, didn't she even go ahead of, left the farm, went to New York and started being a maid?
Yeah,
and blazing the trail for the family to come out.
Yep. Once she got that, and
she was doing this on her own because your dad had passed because of racism in this country. We'll just put it that way. That's a light way. That's a nice way of putting it.
Oh, and she worked in a factory. She was a taxi cab driver. She worked in a factory. It was during the war, all the supplies and stuff. And I said in my book that we picked cotton, and my sister corrected me. She says,
"You played in the cotton.
Your grandmother picked cotton. You guys played in the field."
Yeah, you guys had the orchard fields, you had the cotton fields, and you guys were playing, but Grandma was out there picking.
Huge. I went to the museum in D.C., the Black New Museum.
Right.
And there was a plow in the bag that she dragged. I took a picture of it. But she worked hard. They cheated us. At the time, I didn't know that. But don't forget, here's the difference. You got 200 people working in cotton fields.
Mm-hmm.
when I came out here in Buckeye, one machine was picking and packing it.
Yep.
But times have changed. But no, so I tell you the truth. My sister said it best. She said we didn't have anything, but we were happy. Okay. Now my grandmother's house was really, she got from her mother's, the slave days, but it was huge. But we had no indoor plumbing, right? 2 outhouses and well water, and we used to keep the stove on at night for heat, right? But at the time you didn't know any better. Don't forget, we're 2 and 3 and 4 years old. You don't know any better.
Well, that's living large when you're that age. You're thinking this is the life.
This is what you don't know. You have nothing to compare it to.
Nothing to compare it to. That's what life is.
Nothing to compare it to. But at the time, though, my uncles were still living in Virginia, and they looked. Well, 2 of them looked after us while we were in Virginia. While she was working in New York. But we had an apple orchard in the back. I mean, with beautiful apples. I ate more damn apples that I didn't want to see one again. We had it for any kind of way, fried, any kind of way you wanted, any way you wanted an apple. We sold them for 5 cents.
Well, it's funny because my grandfather would tell me things about that they were growing onions. And he goes, we would have onion sandwiches. And I'd go, what? And he goes, a nice slice of Bermuda onion. And I'm like, really? And now I know why I have my love for onions. I guess it skips a generation.
We had banana sandwiches in Harlem.
Banana sandwiches.
Mayonnaise.
Oh, yeah.
With mayonnaise.
With mayonnaise? Wait, hold on. With mayonnaise?
Yeah, a little bit of mayonnaise. And also, there's 6 different ways you can cook a potato. And we had them all. We got to the point. I told a joke about it. I said, we got so bad that later on in life, when I went to McDonald's, they said, "You want fries?" I go, "Hell no."
All right, Ralph, I know you have something to talk about from your childhood. What was something that your mom would prepare?
No, I want Sam to talk about, he played for George Steinbrenner.
Oh, my man.
Who isn't really associated with basketball as much as he was, of course, the New York Yankees. But you knew him when he owned the Cleveland Ball Club. What was the experience of playing with him like?
Once in a lifetime. What happened was, we played them twice, right? We beat them in our gym and then Tom's 65-point game. So now, when NBA, I'm going to tell you how we didn't care about the NBA. And a lot of guys will tell you this. On draft night to the NBA, draft night, knock on my door, and one of the students came in and said, "By the way, Sam, you just got drafted by the Cincinnati Royals as a shooting guard next to Oscar Robertson." I said, "Thank you very much." And my roommate go, "He said you got," I said, "They ain't taking Negroes in the NBA, man. I'm not even thinking about it." In the meantime, Mr. Steinbrenner had mentioned to me to get to Cleveland to talk to me. So I wrote down there, when I got there, he said, "Don't even talk to Cincinnati. I'm going to pay you more money." And that's how I ended up with the Pipers. The best team I've ever been on in my lifetime, pro-wise. And I got to Cleveland. No, he put me in the Army first. He worked for me to go in the Army first. Because you had to go in 2 years, but he got me a National Guard. We went for 6 months. And when I got out, I joined the super team. John McClendon, one of the greatest coaches in the world. John McClendon taught the fast break. His roommate in Kansas was the guy who started basketball. That was his roommate. And they got together on why the ball got to be passed, dribble, shoot, run. And Mr. Steinbrenner paid me really, really well. Got me a bonus as a car to get back and forth to the games. And one thing you cannot do when you're playing for Mr. Steinbrenner is lose. We were 85-5, right? Now, here's the kicker. During the AAU, the winning team goes to Russia for a week, traveling. We beat Denver Nuggets in Denver, beat them bad, and he had a private plane for us. We got on a plane, and by the time we got to Cleveland, they realized something. We got 8 black guys on the team, and the coach is black. They ain't going to Russia. So what they decided to do is make an all-star team to go to Russia. Jerry Lucas, Larry, those guys. Mrs. Steinbrenner, when they made us sit on the plane to the department, state department came and talked to us. Boy, he was livid. I mean, he cursed them like, well, he yelled at them, I'm going to sue the whole league, and I'm going to fold the team, all that stuff. And it still doesn't work. Oh, but don't lose. If you make he sat behind the bench, by the way. He didn't mind a physical mistake. You make a mental mistake, he'll talk to you about that. What were you thinking? But I go one step further. When I got the job for Dent's Insurance Company of America after playing, they wrote him as a background check on me, and he sent a beautiful letter on me. It was a pleasure knowing him, boom, boom. And anytime you hire him, he'll be successful. And my boss read that to me. I was surprised that they wrote, doing a background check on Sean. But he was a heck of an owner. Don't forget, his father didn't like us. Oh. You don't want to go to office when his father's there. They're shipbuilders, by the way, at the time, and well known. But playing for him was a big time pleasure. And when he had, by the way, he let me tell you how real he is. I know why he brought me there, right? In order to get Tom. That was his motive, to get Tom, right? And I played it off with Tom, like, but you belong in the NBA. This league ain't gonna be around too long. But he knew it. And at the end of the year, he came to me and he said the following: we're going to the new league, right? And if Tom comes to the team, I'm giving you a 2-year, no cut, and $9,000 a year. If you don't come, you got to make the team. What's the chance of me making the team if Tom don't come? These are great ball players, by the way. But a relationship, I love playing and being around. And he remembered me, because what happened was, when he took over the Yankees, the traveling secretary was my classmate in high school and went to St. Bonaventure. And he was just mail out. Yep, mail out. And by the way, he had polio. He had big time polio, but he knew the game. He knew baseball in and out. And he said, Sam, on the bus one time, I mentioned your name, and he raved about you. He says, that guy, I wish he'd have stayed with me. Boom, boom. Next year, all the stuff years later.
Let me interrupt for a second. You mentioned Jackie Robinson, and I know from our talks that you two had a personal interaction at one time, a chock full of nuts.
Yeah.
And that's an engaging story. Would you tell it?
Yeah. My mother, believe it or not, turned me on baseball because of Jackie Robinson, right? And she wanted me to be a baseball player. I was a hell of a stickball player, but she wanted me to be a baseball player. So what happened, I got out of the Army, and after my career was like over with, chock full of nuts was hiring trainees for managing his stores. So I went in for a interview with the lady, nice gray-haired white lady, and she says to me, well, I don't know if you qualify. I hate that word. See, because Mr. Robinson is looking for management that had a college degree. Meanwhile, my resume, which is not long, is on the desk. I said, well, I have a BA in criminology. Oh, well, someone with experience. I said, well, I worked at Haunted Hardrock after school for 5 years. Oh, well, you got to have, if you want somebody who's going to serve their country. I said, if you look there, I said, I grabbed my resume. I said, you're not hiring me. You're not hiring. I said, you're not hiring me. You already got your mind. As soon as I walked in, I knew I wasn't going to get the job. Walking out, and Jackie Robinson walks in, my hero. And I said to him, that's BS back then, and walked away from him. Got downstairs to the subway and said, what did I just do? Instead of getting his autograph, I confused the hell out. He didn't know what I was talking about. And I was mad. I said, that's BS in there. That lady ain't hiring us. And he was chairman of the board, by the way, at Chock full of nuts at the time. And so I got his autograph. He opened up a clothing store in Harlem, and I went in there and got his autograph. Bad move with the clothing store, by the way. That didn't last long. It's in the wrong location. Roy Campanella opened up a liquor store. That was a good location. But he didn't last because he had expensive clothes. We shopped at Hollywood House around the corner for $15 for a suit. But he was my
now,
mother.
you and I have a bit of a connect over Harlem. Chock full of Nuts was right down the street. Lennox and
That's right.
125th.
That's right. That's
Am I
right.
right?
7th Avenue.
Was it right there?
I tell people about your story. You know, selling insurance in Harlem. You
Oh,
know how
okay,
you
okay.
Success. I know. I talked to
remember
him. By the way,
seeing Jackie
that guy-
Robinson in his camel hair coat
Oh,
in the winter, and he was majestic. Let's put it that way.
yeah. You know what happened? We had I called Harlem at the time entertainment capital of New York City. We had Jackie Robinson's store, Roy Campanella, Sugar Ray Robinson's restaurant, Count Basie's club, Joe Lewis's club, the Brown Bomber, right? And we had
Right.
16 movie theaters. 16 movie theaters from the east side to the west side. Everywhere, Palms Cafe was doing what y'all are doing. They had a DJ in there, you know, talking sports. It was entertainment. Hotel Teresa were the only hotel that allowed Castro to stay there, and he ruined it. But everywhere you went, it was entertainment. A lot of crime. I mean, I always tell us about when you left and walked outside, you were at the scene of a crime. A lot of crime, a lot of drugs.
And now you
Needles in
live
their
in
arms.
Arizona. Tell me the thing that you miss most about Harlem, and tell me the things that, you know, you're in Arizona now. There's some great things about living there.
You know, I wouldn't want to go back because right now it's all over the world. It's a danger zone now. It's knocking old people down, and it's not a good situation. I missed Harlem a lot when I lived in Long Island. I stayed in Harlem more than I stayed in Long Island. But my family was, you know, my daughter, my son, and my sister. My sister still lives in Harlem since 1947. Follow this. And she taught in the school system in Harlem for 30 years. And the only reason she retired, they made her retire. And she's when she turned 80, they made her retire. And taking care, she walks through the block, the kids know her, the old adults know her. And she kept it. And listen to this. And she coached baseball at the Colonel Young Park on 45th Street. She coached baseball to little kids, period. But they were proud of us, Ralph and Paul, but they knew what we went through. But they were they come to, my older sister worked a lot. My younger sister used to leave her school, get on a train, and come all the way to Brooklyn to see us play. Only ones in the stands, obviously. But even today, she's when she sees stuff like I got Tom's medal, they were proud of us, right? And we didn't want to get it. We didn't want to get in trouble with them. You know, we didn't want to embarrass them by being bad kids. You never have to worry about the principal coming over to the house. They had us respect people, and most important is that education part. She said, "You're not gonna go." Let me jump ahead here. Every Thursday, we used to have assembly in junior high school. My music teacher, I didn't want to talk about music teacher, David Lloyd was a close friend of Jesse Owens. He had him as a guest speaker at our assembly. And he said to us, it's all boys, by the way, some of you guys will have a tough time because of your color growing up, but I want to let you know something. If there's an obstacle placed in front of you, you don't go around it. You go over it, through it, never go around it. I'll never forget those words. And a lot of y'all gonna fail, but a lot of y'all gonna do all right. Just toe the line and listen to your family. That was his conversation. I can see him doing it right now.
Philosophy. Sam, I think we might be running low on time.
We're getting close, but I want to hear about Sam's book and how we can get it.
Okay,
All right.
good.
Yeah, what I got started writing the book, it was a tell-all book kind of thing, right? I said, let me put everything that happened between Tom, myself, and family. And then I did a piece on how Eddie Donovan, our coach, ended up really, really pissed us off. He treated us so badly after when he went with the Knicks. He treated me bad, treated Tom bad, particularly Tom, to the point that he curtailed Tom's NBA career because Tom had got really, really back to his form and wouldn't play him. Even guys on the team go like this, how come Tom was not playing? And he never gave a reason. No one ever heard of this guy until we got there. He was going to lose his job. I didn't know he was going to get fired if we didn't have a good year that year. The team didn't have a good year. But the way he treated me and Tom, and years later, his wife's in an event tells Tom's wife he felt bad how he treated Tom and Sam. And she's a nice lady. What they do, they deserve that. They only got him to the NBA. He make general manager, coach, general manager, now part owner of Buffalo Bread. But it's a mystery of how he treated us. And this guy was my godfather in college. Oh, my God, this guy treated me like I was his son, period. But I go one step further. When the season ended and I'm a senior, he never talked to me until graduation. He didn't ask me what I was going to do. You going to the NBA, you going to the NBA. He never sat down and talked to me about it. Most coaches do, but not him. And then he treated
the way
me.
he treated you and Tom after he was the Knicks coach. And I just want you to tell me again, you told me the other day, what his record was before you guys got there.
He told me, they brought me up like Paul for a tryout. I didn't know I was going to try out, right? I got scholarship, but he gave me a uniform and sneakers. Me to rock against the Bossy. And I did my number on them. Then he says to me, I want to see if you fit into our program. I do my research before I do anything. I said, wait a minute, program? He was 17 and 50. Why would I want to go into that program?
17 and 50. And
17
you
and
turned
50.
the program around and led him, in essence, the reason he became the Knicks coach was because of you guys. And I got to say, it was surreal. We've talked about this many times, how you were treated. I don't know if it was race or what.
Somebody used the word. Somebody used the word jealous.
How could it have been race? How could a basketball coach be a racist?
And he's out of Jersey.
Yeah, that's a rhetorical question, of course. But biggest disappointment of
ever in my life, ever.
Any guy in basketball that I've ever met or known of. What an asshole!
When I played the 3 years that I played for him, we only lost 11 games in 3 years. And we get to NIT, unfortunately, we run up against Chet Walker and those kind of guys. But we went to NIT every year that Tom went to NCAA, first time in history that they went to NCAA. And, but I couldn't understand, to this day, I had no idea why he treated us that way. There's no reason. But he played the race card on me because there was too many blacks on the team. I told you that story there. He asked me to set up 5 games, so he wanted to see another black player, and we had white guys on the bench. I'm starting 5. I'm on the starting 5. He asked me to take a seat, so they won't have enough white guys on the team. But it wasn't his fault with the race thing, because that was standard in the NBA at the time. You only can have 4. 2 can only start at the same time, along that line, and no fighting. But unbelievable how people look at you, stereotype you, right? And they were serious about that.
I'm embarrassed.
Boston Celtics. Except the Boston Celtics said, "The hell with y'all." But this is a mystery. But we got over, right? We won for the guy, and it helped all of us. The team guys. We had a guy on our team in college. His favorite ball player named Whitey Martin out of Buffalo. I knew it. He loved Whitey Martin, right? And he brings Whitey Martin to the Knicks. And he wasn't the type of ball player to play in the NBA, but he brought him there. But I don't know. It's a mystery, and he died. He died holding it. I don't know why, but the way he treated me bad, but he treated Tom
correctly. You took the high road and went to his funeral, or
I went to his wake. I didn't want to go, but everybody was going. You got to say something. Tom was not confrontation. He ain't gonna get in your face. His game speaks for himself. I'm a little bit more boisterous. You follow me? But at the time, I had a nice contract. Why rock the boat? But Tom, the worst thing happened one time. Don was going on the road. He told Richard Guerin, no matter what the score is, don't put Tom in. And Richard told Tom, he said, I don't know why, Tom. He said, don't play you. The guy, he treated Tom, and Tom was number one draft choice. The best moment we ever had in our lifetime, we always played the college all-stars before the season. And he dropped me just before the game. He dropped me. So they introduced all the players, and they introduced Tom last. Tom last. His ovation kept going and going until we had tears in our eyes. My sister, even Tom, the ovation kept going on and on and on. And when they finally put him in against Havlicek, Tom made his first shot. And the place erupted. He was back in form.
That's generally the way it is. He's pretty good, isn't he?
But things happen. But we had a good run. I always say about it. Look, high school, college, pros. It don't get no better than that. NIT. I always wanted to go to NIT. It don't get no better than that. So we had a run, and in spite of him, let's use that word. In spite of him, we had a run. We were programmed to win. We were programmed to win. I took losing hard. I mean, overdoing it to the point. Can't understand when we lose a game, not with the talent we had. But then again, the other team like Bradley with Chet Walker and those Owen and those guys, it's always somebody that's got a step ahead of you. But we made this guy. We made him into a pro coach and general manager. And the way he did that.
Yeah, you coached him, basically. You guys ended up coaching him, is what ended up happening.
That's it, Paul. That's it.
And that's funny because, life lessons can be learned anywhere.
Any time.
At any time. It sounds like even, at times even your little brother taught you a couple things along the way. And so that's kind of a neat thing. And then having that history, I've really just I've learned so much about you in the last hour. I'm so intrigued. Now I need to pick up your book. Now you need to tell us how we get your book.
Let me give you an example of something.
Sure.
When I was a freshman, I broke the school's record of 42 points. Okay?
Right.
Tom come to the next year, his first game, he gets 62. Right? Listen to this. We recruited Fred Crawford out of Harlem to Bonnie's. And when he was a freshman, Tom was a sophomore, and I'm a junior. I coached the team that night, right? Because the guy was scouting. We had walkie-talkies. We were playing in the Armory. And they tried this walkie-talkie to the balcony and to the bench. And I would get the following message. Freddie got 50. Freddie got 59. Right? Freddie got 60. The record's 62. Freddie got 63. Broke Tom's record. When I went in the dressing room, all those guys was waiting. Well, I didn't take him out before he broke Tom's record. right?
Right.
And I was getting dressed, and I wonder why they so quiet. And he looked at Tom. I stood up and I said, hold, wait a minute. I want to get you guys straight. We root for each other to do well, not against each other. That's how we do the game here, right? And y'all think Tom was going to say something to me about Freddie breaking the record? Did you see how he was upset? They couldn't answer. I said, you read this wrong. All three of us out of Holland, same junior high school. We root for each other, not against. We wish everybody well. And that should be our rally when we playing this damn game. You root for each other, period. And then they bust out with, you're right. They call me Cezanne. You're right, Cez. I said, but I'm surprised that you guys thought that Tom was getting mad because I let Fred break his record. It's nothing to do with records, man. It's winning, period. The only reason I would take Fred out, it should have been, we're up by 30, 20, but what difference does it make? I had 37 points in the Garden against St. John's with 8 minutes to go, and he took me out. We were up by 25, though. Joe Lapchick was coaching. Took me out. I ain't say, keep me in because the record was 40-41. You play the game the right way to win. That's it. We made this guy. And let me jump ahead. We should play in the Armory. 1,900 people. When I got there, only 900 would show up for a game. Once I got there and Tom got there, you couldn't get a ticket to the game. You could not get a ticket to the game. I auctioned mine off, right? You couldn't get a ticket to the game. Next thing you know, years later, they got to build a field house for 6,000 people. And everybody said it should have been the house that Stith built.
Yeah, I was going to say, wait, why don't we call it Stith Brothers, right?
Otherwise, you think that's a bad idea? I don't. Hey, tell us about, Sam, if you would, one more thing. Tell us about the ovation that Tom got when he.
I told him you weren't on at the time.
Yeah, we did tell the story.
But
we lost you at that time.
We played the game correctly, and we were motivated. I don't want to use motivate. Donovan used to come into the dressing room and try to motivate us by saying, Father Malachi went into St. Francis Hospital. And we like to, wow, we love Father Murphy. Next day we see Father Murphy. You see, I went in to visit somebody. He didn't go there because of health. And so the motivation comes when the ball goes up. Once the ball goes up, you can't say, I got to do Father Malachi. You do that to beat the other team. I hate when people talk about that motivated us. Motivation is winning. You throw the ball up, we play the game and win. What kind of motivation is that? Is there a motivation on the team to lose? No, don't work that way. But we had a good run, and always ask a question. Will we go back to St. Bonnie's again? And the answer to Tom, Fred, and me, we definitely made the right move. We had a lot of scholarship. We had offers when I was a senior with no money, hardly any food. I was getting offers for money.
Yeah, like cars and everything, right?
Everything. Yeah, I mean, by the way, I had no problem turning it down. I had no problem. One school, they had offered me, I want to get you your own room, and if you need some women, I'm 18, right? Unbelievable. We didn't even think about it. We didn't even think about it. I'll tell you a little something.
It was your upbringing. And it had a lot to do with that.
Because my sister said it. She said, we didn't have anything, but we were lucky in the building we lived in. I still talk to my guy in the building. My mother died. They took it. They spent the night, the Lucky Sevens. My mother died. They spent the night with us all night long in our apartment. Yeah. They was right behind us, the bookies on the block, who, you pay 30 cents, you get $5. They came to our aid. They brought food. The teachers, when I got back to school one year, our apartment burnt down. Listen to this story. Our apartment burnt down. I had to go back to New York. I called my aunt, who has a house. I'm sorry, I have no room. My sisters went to live with my art teacher in junior high school. A teacher in junior high school lived in the Bronx, and they stayed there until the department was built back up.
Wow.
Yeah, but there's so many. Everybody talk about, when I'm talking to the kids, when I'm doing my camps, I don't hear no story about your mother and father divorce. You can't talk what happened to me. So you have no excuse if you're going to master. And I coached the AAU team out for 2 years, undefeated, and they never played basketball. I taught them everything about basketball. Mexicans, I had a United Nations team, and lost nothing. And some teams that was better than us, and we beat them because they played the game the right way. You don't need motivation. You throw the ball up. That's it. The motivation is beating the other team.
Right. Now,
But,
again, like I said, I'm really kind of so intrigued now. Our conversation. I see why you and Ralph have done some time together.
Oh my goodness, I love
As
him.
you
I love
were.
Mr. Ralph. My book is not an athletic book. It's a storytelling book. Like I just did with you guys. It's a storytelling book, and hoping that somebody might read that. I go one step further. I had a guy. They sent down my resume, what I did, and the guy says, "I never heard of Sam Stith, but when I saw this, I made my son read it twice."
Mm-hmm.
Just for the book, right? I'm hoping that people read the book, let their grandkids see it, or a boom like that. By the way, I hate to Brown. I was doing a huge podcast last week, and I'm in the studio, and he was doing it, but his grandson, 15 years ago, I trained him, right? And he's on the speakerphone. He says, "By the way, Ray, I got Sam Stone." He goes, "Who?" I said, "The guy that trained." He says, "Oh, the old guy?" I said, Ray, I can hear you, man.
Not so old that I get my ears are still working, buddy.
You mean the old guy? I'm
Not
like
so
this.
old that
Wow.
you can't tell a story or six.
I went, wow, Ray, he's old coach.
Hey, would you come back, Sam, and anytime you'd like?
Anytime.
Just
For
let
you,
us know.
Ralph? Come on, man. We've been doing this for years. Anytime.
And maybe we can rename the podcast Three Old Guys for that podcast. That would be good. And so, no, I think there's a lot to be said. And yeah, Sam, we want you back, man. Like I said, I'm hooked now. I didn't know anything about you before I started researching a little bit, and then I went down the rabbit hole, and so.
Oh, okay.
Even like I said, there's so many things about your life, the university, your brother, your whole family, the everything from your guys' move out to New York, and then everything that happened after that. It was history. And so, thanks for sharing with us. Definitely need to have you back real soon, though.
I would look for that.
Also, I want to thank you, Sam, for bringing up the Eddie Donovan thing without making me look like, we're just getting the dirt or this and that. It was you, and I hope you feel cathartic about that, getting it out.
Yeah. When I talked to you yesterday, getting it out like that to you follow me. But some things that might be taboo, I don't know. But I now and then I think about how far Tom would have won an NBA, and I know for a fact I'd have lasted a little bit longer than one year. And by the way, the comments I get even today, Waddy Jones, who played on super teams, right? You know how many would shock me.
Overbrook High School.
Yeah, you know how many players come up to me and say, "We remember you." Let me give an example. When I got out here, the sports flying out with Chuck Hatcher, Waddy Jones, and you call in. So I called in. It's who's on the phone. I go, Sam Stith. And it's quiet. I says, hello? And Waddy Jones comes on. He said, let me tell you who this guy. Him and his brother made it possible for me to go to Villanova when they opened up race relationships. Here's how it ended. So he talked about it. Another guy gets on and goes, well, it was all right, but, I don't know. it was Sam Jones of the Boston Celtics busting my chops, right? But Walt Frazier, Paul, let me tell you the impact that we had, right? Back in the day, black ball players went to black colleges. They weren't getting scholarship offers to private colleges, right? When they found out that Tom and I, were black, all the other schools started recruiting black players. Charlie Scott, the first one in North Carolina, who went to our junior high school, by the way. Same junior high school Tom Fair and I went to, Charlie Scott went. And Charlie Scott told me a story, and he sent me an article. In one of the classes, he wasn't interested. One of his teachers, by the way, you ever read about the guys who went to Stith brother? He looked it up, and he said, Sam, that's the reason I started playing basketball, seriously. But a lot of current players, Walter Jones, guys who played on the championship team, Walt Frazier, Willis Reed was a big time. They remembered us. And we weren't thinking that kind of legacy. But it's even a better conversation. I was in Maryland on my wife's birthday and went to Harold Melvin the Blue Notes concert, right? When I walked in, I thought I was at the Apollo, okay? So after they went, and I met the guy who promotes it, right, who does a big thing. And first band went off, and the second guy came up to MC and said, by the way, we have a celebrity in the house. And I'm like, oh, wow. Former New York Knicks, Sam Stith. I got a standing ovation that lasted for a long time. That was a feeling and a half. These are old timers, keep that in mind, 75 and 80. And I was signing autographs. People who were young were coming over, they didn't know.
Green, you passed that stuff down. You know what I'm saying?
What down?
It's hero worship. And sometimes the hero isn't the most skilled physically. There's a lot of mental behind it. And the reason you got a standing ovation was not solely on your physical stuff. So,
right.
Hey, come back soon, would you, Sam?
I will. Paul, you still there, Paul?
Yes, sir, I am.
Call me back. You say you're a comedian, right? I want to tell you a couple of jokes.
I would love to hear them. I'm definitely going to call you back. Give me about 10 minutes. But we're going to get through this last part of the show. So, again, give it up for Sam Stith, everybody. All right?
Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you. I'm going to just do the last part of the show, but if you guys could just sit there and watch me flub, that will be great. Zig, thanks for being a part of this. Thanks for doing what you do. There's all your social media. If you want to find Zig in the Zone, you go to one of those channels. If you want to see what Zig's up to in real life, that's right? In IRL, in real life, check out Zig on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. If you're a Twitcher, go check out my channel, and we feature his show also. And then, of course, Zig says, give to your local Head Start program. That's right, Head Start programs. If you've got some books around your home, collect them. Collect them, bring them to your local Head Start program, because Elon took that chainsaw to all of our programs, and the government's not helping anybody anymore. So be your fellow human being, go out and help, and start with those kids. Inspire some kids. And then
thank you, Paulie.
Thank you, Zig. Thank you, Sam. We'll see you guys next week in the zone. For myself, the rest of the crew, we out. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate you guys.
Monday 1 to 3 p.m. Junkyard Rat. Monday 4 to 6 p.m. Ghetto Poet. Tuesdays 11 to 1 p.m. Zig in the Zone. See you on our channel. Edge Studios Online. Keep standing up.